All right, so here we are in the last video for this week as we're covering the process of crime scene processing. And we talked already about doing photography and doing sketching and measuring and diagramming of the scene. So now we need to talk about actually searching the scene for evidence. Obviously, some evidence is going to be right out in front of us. We don't have to go searching for it. But at some point, we're probably going to have to start looking around a little closer, opening doors and drawers, and actually searching for evidence that's not just out there for us easy to see. Lots of different search methods out there. There's even some other ones not listed in your book. I mean, a very popular one sometimes is what we call the point-to-point search, where you just go from one piece of evidence to the next. Probably not the best search technique out there. A lot of officers get caught doing it, and the reality is you really shouldn't be just like going, oh, what's this over here? Oh, cool. What's this over here? It's, kind of like the old, ADD kind of joke squirrel, where you're just kind of going to whatever new, cool, shiny thing you see. Reality is we should be kind of methodical. So the kind of official methodical search systems that are out there is our lane search, sometimes called a strip search. Sometimes people don't like using that strip search because they think of other kinds of searches that aren't what we do in CSI. They're what they do in the jail. We have our line searches, our grid searches, zone searches, spiral searches, etc., etc., etc. The big thing here is making sure that you don't touch anything, collect it, bag it, tag it until you've gotten photographs of it, until you've got it measured and ready for diagramming. All right, so let's take a look at some of these. A lane search, otherwise known as a strip search, can be done by one officer or one CSI. And basically you're taking a crime scene and dividing it up into segments. And as you can see, you start here and you move down through your scene and then go over. And so we're just going through these segments of the scene back and forth, back and forth. Again, this can be done by one person or even two people working side by side, just going back and forth over segments of the scene, breaking it down into different lanes. A line search is a little different in that we basically line everybody up in a straight line, and then everybody as a group takes a step forward. 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 And we try and keep ourselves in this straight line as we're moving forward. Now, here's the big thing as it relates to these line searches. And this is true of all search patterns, but it's easier to illustrate in the idea of a line search. Imagine, if you would, we're at some kind of outdoor area. All right. Now, if this is an outdoor area, if the square block represents an asphalt or concrete parking lot, how far to the left or to the right can I see as I'm searching for evidence? That is what we refer to as our swath size. So if I'm looking for, say, a set of keys on the ground, and these keys are evidence, how far to the left and the right in that material can I look to find these keys? Versus, here's an actual, if I can pick it up, I'm sorry. All right, you've just seen my blooper reel. Okay, versus here, I actually have a bullet that has been fired and recovered. And so if this is laying on the ground in a parking lot, how far apart can I see versus looking for this, looking for these two things, looking for keys or for an actual bullet that's been fired from a gun and has passed through and is laying on the ground. Could be a bullet casing, could be some other things. So that's what we're looking at here as far as swath size. What are we searching for? So what's our crime? Do we have a shooting? Do we have a sexual assault? Or we're looking for human biologics? And what's our environment? Because on asphalt, I can probably see the keys or the bullet, from a few feet away. So if I've got 5 officers or 5 CSIs lined up, we separate each one, a couple feet away from each other, arm's length or 2 arms lengths away from each other. Versus when we get into the grass, now we need to get a little tighter. Maybe now we're not completely shoulder to shoulder, but we're, half an arm's length from each other. We're able to touch each other's shoulders, but we're not shoulder to shoulder. Versus you get into tall grass. Yeah, we're shoulder to shoulder. We're each touching each other, and we're probably not walking anymore. We're crawling, looking for this evidence. So that's what we call swath size. How far can you see based on what you're looking for, based on which kind of crime you have? So you should be able to identify what kinds of evidence you're possibly looking for. And then also what we're talking about for the surface where that object could be hidden. Grass, concrete, asphalt, tall grass, short grass, etc., etc., etc. get us in a line, and that line just all advances as a group as best we can. Grid search, where we take the lane search and we go from 2 different angles. So I start off searching and I do a lane where I'm going left to right across the scene, and eventually I switch to going up and down, or north and south and east and west. We can also do this with the line search. We get everybody together in a line and we go across the crime scene from north to south. So everybody moving as a line, up, 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 up. And then everybody walks around the outside edge of the crime scene, lines up again, and goes across, 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 across. So a line search can also be a grid search. We just don't have a good illustration of it in your text or in some of the other resources where I sometimes borrow or steal images from. Keep this in mind. Sometimes people ask, why would you do these grids, lines, back and forth? Imagine, again, we've got our little bullet casing here. And imagine the lawn being mowed. And so when you mow the lawn, the grass kind of sits over like this. And so if my line search, if everybody's coming from over here, that grass might hide it. But now when you come from it, so here you go, this is what you would see. You just see the grass. But now you come at it from a different angle. And what's there? Oh, look, there's that little bullet. So from here, you can't see it because the grass has folded over it. But you come at it from a different angle. And oh, look at that. There's a bullet hiding under that blade of grass that's folded over. Even sometimes we might come at it from multiple angles. You might do a grid search where you go from all 4 cardinal directions, and oh look, even though the grass is folded over, you can still see that little thing that I'm palming there in my hand. Again, we're not searching people with these search patterns. We're talking about out in the yard. But I'm sitting at my desk, so we're got to use the visuals with my hands as best we can. I hope those make sense for folks. Then another search pattern that sometimes is more of a search system than a search pattern. But the system can be a pattern of its own, and I won't try and confuse you too much with what's the difference between a pattern and a system. It is what it is. But a zone or a quadrant search. So here we have, a diagram that is showing like somebody's house, and inside the house you have the kitchen, the living room, the family room, the entry foyer area. You have the area around the driveway, you have the front yard, you have the backyard. I realize this is not arranged like a really house, but so we break the big crime scene up into these smallers where we have a group of people searching the driveway, group of people searching the front yard, group of people searching the backyard, and inside you have 1 or 2 CSIs in the bedroom, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, in the living room, or whatever I said for the original order of the rooms was. So we break the big scene into the small things. So that this way you're not going, oh my gosh, this scene's too big for me. We just do this 1 room at a time, and if we have enough resources, we bring in a couple different teams, and each team gets a different room. And by the time you're done, it's like, wow, we got that done quicker than I thought we would. Finally, we have our spiral searches. I don't agree with your textbook author on this one. Your author says that these are seldom used, and they only really work well for underwater or bomb scene explosions. All right, think about how your living room is set up. Think about the common rooms at your house. Wouldn't it make sense to walk into your house and go around the outside edge of your room? All right, sorry for that interruption. So think about like your room, your house, and you've got your couch, you got your TV, you got a chair, you got a table. So you come into a room. Isn't it easy to just go along the walls and search along the wall, the perimeter of the room? Maybe you have to go around a TV or a chair, and then you go around another part of the room that's a little bit inside from the walls. So the edges of the chair, the edges of the table, the outside area. Okay, can you see what I'm doing here? You're basically doing a spiral search. So while your textbook author says that spiral searches are always these perfect little, you make a perfect circle, and then you go and you make another perfect circle, and you make another. Well, think about it. If I'm doing like your room, if this screen here is a room, and you've got like where my little face is some kind of table or chair, and this block of text is a table or chair, and this block of text is a couch, and the circle here is some kind of table, and you come in from a door over here, you can literally come around the room. Yeah, you don't go perfectly along the walls, but essentially by the time you get back here, you've made a circle, you move in a little bit, you're searching the carpet, and you go around this couch, and you're searching the carpet. Yeah, we go back over this space again, and we come around, we're searching the carpet. And then we go around this table, and we're searching the carpet. We go around this thing, and we come around, and we're searching the carpet again. Now we're searching the part of this that we didn't get before. We might go over it again. We go around it. We go around this. We're making spirals. So the reality is a lot of our crime scene searches are some kind of spiral search. It just isn't a perfect spiral. C'est la vie. But hey, that's the way your textbook author likes to describe them, as these perfect concentric circles. I like to think of a spiral search as just working around your room until you get smaller and smaller until you've reached the evidence in the middle of the room. Yeah, that's me. All right, so basically, how do we pick our search size? It is a lot of factors. The environment, the objects we're searching for, again, bullet casings, keys, guns, what are you looking for? Human biological stains. Is it in the grass? Is it in asphalt? Do we have carpet? Do we have hardwood floors? There's lots of variables here. How many people do we have available? Is it just you? Are you the only responder? I oftentimes joke about that with our first responders. We got our first responder. You've got your backup. Hey, some of your small agencies, you got an only responder. The first arriving officer is going to be the police officer, the scene securing person, the evidence technician, the detective. I mean, for some minor crime scenes, even at a big city PD, at a minor crime scene, you're going to have one person only respond. So, c'est la vie. All right, so how many people do you have available? What kind of terrain are we talking about? Do we got a flat surface? Do we got lots of hills? Are people who can get worn out? Do we have water? Do we have people who trained for searching for evidence in water? Do we need to bring in more resources? Etc., etc., etc. And then we come back all to this all equals our swath size. And that becomes a big, big issue. All right, so just remember this. After we collect our evidence, make sure that it's packaged properly. Sometimes when we package stuff, we do what we call pre-packaging it. So we talk about biological evidence. Later in the semester, you'll learn about biological evidence only goes in a paper bag. What if it's soaking wet? What happens to a soaking wet item in a paper bag? Paper bag's ruined. Put it in a plastic bag then. All right, but the rule book says biological evidence only goes in paper. Well, we put it in plastic at the crime scene temporarily, and I've got a 2-hour time window until I can get it out of that plastic bag, dry it off, and then put it in a paper bag properly. So, make sure that we remember those kinds of things. Everything gets its own bag. Everything is separate. These days, most everything goes in paper bag, but sometimes we use plastic. Make sure that we're sealing it up good at the crime scene. But do keep in mind, sometimes we will be popping it back open at the police department for drying and, and then later final packaging it. Alrighty, so that's what we have for this week. A little 3-part slideshow. Hope folks had time to view all 3. And as always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, give me a phone call, or stop on out to the Public Safety Training Center and see me in person. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week.